In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills and whispering woods, lived an old man named Thomas and his loyal dog, Finn. Every evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees and painted the sky in soft oranges and purples, the two would set off on their nightly walk. The path they followed was familiar, winding through fields, past sleepy cottages, and into the stillness of the forest. Thomas would hum softly, his voice barely louder than the rustle of leaves. Finn padded alongside him, his tail wagging with the comfort of routine and trust. There was no need for words between them, years of companionship had woven an unspoken language. Sometimes they stopped at the edge of the meadow, watching the stars blink awake one by one. Thomas would tell quiet stories of days gone by, of laughter and loss, while Finn rested his head on the man's knee, as if he understood every word. When they returned home, the fire would still glow, and the night would settle around them like a blanket. In each other's company, they found warmth, peace, and the kind of love that asks for nothing, yet gives everything. A simple life. A gentle bond. As the world slowed and the stars began to shimmer above the hills, an old man named Eli sat quietly on his porch, his faithful dog, Bramble, curled up at his feet. The day had been long but gentle, filled with the kind of silence that speaks volumes in moments that pass like drifting clouds. Eli sipped warm tea, the mug warming his hands, while Bramble gave a soft sigh, already halfway to sleep. Each evening was the same, and that sameness brought comfort. Together, they watched the sky fade from gold to navy, a quiet ritual they had shared for years. Bramble would eventually nudge Eli, and the two would head inside, the floor creaking beneath their familiar steps. Eli would tuck himself into bed, and Bramble would settle into his spot on the rug, close enough to feel the steady rhythm of his human's breath. In the stillness of the room, dreams came easily, soft dreams of green fields, distant laughter, and long walks that never seemed to end. There was no loneliness here. Just a man, a dog, and the kind of peace that only comes from a love that has grown deep, steady, and timeless. In a small cabin nestled at the edge of a quiet forest, lived a man named Henry and his loyal dog, Jasper. They had been through everything together, stormy nights, sunlit adventures, and the long, quiet seasons in between. Jasper had come into Henry's life when he needed him most, a scrappy pup with kind eyes and an unshakable spirit. Years passed, and their bond only grew stronger. Henry spoke to Jasper like an old friend, and Jasper listened with the kind of attention only dogs seem to understand. Wherever Henry went, Jasper followed, through meadows blooming with wildflowers, across winding trails dusted with snow, and even into town, where locals always greeted them with a smile. Their days were simple but full, shared meals, gentle walks, and the warmth of quiet companionship. At night, Jasper would rest beside Henry's bed, never far, always watchful. There was no need for grand gestures or spoken promises, their loyalty was clear in every look, every touch, every heartbeat shared in stillness. This was no ordinary story. It was one built on silent devotion, trust without question, and a love that had stood the test of time. A true story of loyalty and love. Each morning began with the soft chirping of birds and the gentle creak of an old screen door swinging open. Sam, a quiet man with kind eyes, stepped into the fresh air with his faithful dog, Marley, at his side. Their days unfolded in slow, comforting rhythms, long walks through forest paths, pauses by still lakes, and quiet moments under wide skies. Sam didn't need much, just the steady presence of Marley, whose calm gaze and wagging tail spoke more than words ever could. They walked not with urgency, but with purpose. Each step was a reminder that peace could be found in small things, the crunch of leaves beneath their feet, the scent of pine in the air, the feeling of connection without saying a word. As the sun began to dip low, they'd find a quiet spot to rest. Sam would hum an old tune, and Marley would lie close, his breathing slow and sure. The world felt softer in those moments, as if time itself paused to watch. This was their journey, not toward a destination, but into a deeper sense of peace. Just a man, a dog, and the comfort of being together. Always moving forward. Always together.